Hey, I'm here. Um, my first podcast style video. Um, what am I going to do in this video? Well, I had a bunch of notes. I've been sitting here trying to look at these notes and practice and try to sound more professional. But you know what? It didn't work. So I'm just going to talk. And basically, what this is going to be is me talking. It could be, there's going to be different topics. There's not going to be fancy music because I tried all that stuff and I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. I just don't want to learn it. And I don't want to pay anybody to do it. So whatever, it is what it is. If you enjoy listening to these rants and insights that I'm presenting to you, so be it. If not, don't listen. So anyway, but for those of you who are here, hello. I'm Tyler Puckett. I live in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. I'm currently 48 years old. I moved here. I don't know why I say currently. Yeah, of course I'm 48. Anyway, as if I can change my age. But I live in Ho Chi Minh City, aka Saigon, a huge city, the largest city in Vietnam. A city that I didn't really intend on moving to first, but there's some reasons behind it. But this city has totally grown on me. I love the chaos of this city, the constant hums of the motorbikes, the street vendors, just the horns beeping. Not angry horns like you hear back home, filled with rage. These are just, hey, I'm here. What horns are meant to do. So that and just the sounds. There's just constant motion here in this wonderful city. A calm chaos is what I call it. Well, I'll talk about life here compared to where I'm from. My definition of freedom has definitely changed. My perception of freedom, what I'm experiencing here now, is a different type of freedom that I had back in the United States, and I'm not quite sure which one is better. I think there's some components of each that, if combined, would be perfect for humanity. I'm not going to sit here and bash my homeland, country that I grew up in, culture that I love. Not all parts of it, but it's the same here. I don't love all parts of the culture and the things that go on here either. I mean, no place is perfect, but I've found what I think is my place. I enjoy the security that I've found here that I did not have back home. Just the fact that I can let my guard down, which took a while. As an American, when you walk the streets of a major city, you're always on guard, especially at night, but even during the day. There's this cloud of violence, potential violence that you face back home. I don't care who you are and what political views you have, that is the truth. That does not exist here. That does not exist in a lot of countries, but especially here in Southeast Asia. I've been to Laos, I've been to Cambodia, I've been to Thailand, and especially here in Vietnam, there's just this feeling of you're not going to be subjected to violent crime. So that's another thing that we're talking about. We're going to talk about the cultural clashes, which there are plenty. We're going to talk about how wonderful the people are here in Vietnam and how accepting they are. We're also going to talk about love and how I'm navigating a huge language barrier, not only within the country, but also with my partner, Neem. In fact, for the first few months, I was pronouncing her name wrong. But she knew, of course, I'm a foreigner. I'm doing the best. Vietnamese is a tonal language between 6 and 8 tones, depending on who you ask. But officially, there's 6 tones. And if you do not get the tone right, you just don't get it right. You change the tone, and the word changes completely. Unlike here, English, I can say beef. I can say beef, 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 beef. It means the same thing. In Vietnamese, you change the tone like that, you're going to get 6 different words, and it is incredibly tough. The native speakers, they have the ear for it. They can hear the subtleties in the language. I take Vietnamese classes twice a week. Even when my teacher corrects me, sometimes I can't hear the difference in the tones, but they can hear it. So that's tough. Another aspect of living here, especially in a big city like Saigon, here in the South, a lot of people here are here for business. They move from the countryside. They've come here, they've learned English, and this is also a city where a lot of people visit. So unlike when I visited other smaller towns, there's a lot of people here they know basic English. They may not be able to carry on a full-blown conversation, but even in stores, they know our numbers. They can, they know just basics. So for example, today I went to the 7-Eleven, and I've been taking classes maybe, I don't know, off and on for the past year, but in a row, probably 5 months now. So I tried to speak in Vietnamese. They almost always answer back in English. Either I'm saying something incorrect and they just like, it's easier for me to talk to you, buddy, in English. Or they're wanting to practice their English. So for example, I just bought something, it was 30,000 Vietnamese dong, which is like $1.10 maybe, which was 3 drinks, by the way. So he said 30, and I repeated back, ba mươi, which means 30. And he repeated back, instead of saying yeah or đúng rồi, which means that's right, he repeated back to me in English. So it was kind of like a competition, like, okay, I'm speaking English to you, acknowledge what I said, and I'm trying to get him to acknowledge that I'm correct in Vietnamese. So we'll talk about little things like that, but also little miscommunications when it comes to being in love. And also cultural clashes. Because not only is the language different, but the way we view things are different. How we react to things emotionally when we see something are very different. So we'll talk about that. What else are we going to talk about? Also, something that I've shied away from for a very long time is I grew up one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And depends on who you ask. It's a lot of people call it a cult, a high control group. And it is a high control group. So growing up within the confines of that religion have impacted me in a lot of ways. Just being able to have your own thoughts and critical thinking and things like that. Shunning, I'm currently being shunned by my family for religious reasons. So that's tough. And trying to explain that to my people in Vietnam, my partner, it's just inconceivable, to the fact that they think you're lying. When you tell them that there are people whose family will just totally cut you off. So that's been something difficult to explain to Neen. So anyway, we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about just trying to integrate into the new culture. I'm also, now that I say that, one of the things that I do here, people have asked me, I'm just transitioning, is how do I make a living? So I teach English. Currently, I'm working between 18 and 20 hours a week. I teach kindergarten through like 11, 12-year-olds. So I go to work Wednesday, 17 to 21 for you Americans, my people, who are still on the 12-hour clock. I don't think that'll ever change, but it should. That is 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. I teach 2 classes. Also on Friday, the same schedule. And then Saturday and Sunday, I go in at 7:45 and I'm done by 12. And that's Saturday and Sunday. So I work, but that's not true. I also have a class at 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. That is 16:30 to 18:30, and also on Sunday. So I'm working about 20 hours a week. That allows me to really live and even save a little bit of money just working part-time. So we'll get into that, how it is teaching Vietnamese learners, things like that. Those are some of the things we're going to talk about. So I said all that to say, some weeks I'll just tell a story. Some weeks I'll just rant. Some weeks I'll just talk about what's coming up, talk about marriage plans, which officially, I have to say, on paper, I think here in Vietnam, from what Neen told me, we're finally officially married legally, but we haven't not gone through all of the, the ceremonies and the dressing up and the pictures and all the wonderful things that come with the wedding, especially a Vietnamese wedding. So that's all coming up. But we don't have a date yet, and I will keep you informed on that, either before or even after, maybe even as the weeks are leading up to the ceremony. I can give you some insight on how that's done here. Right now, we are waiting on her mother to consult the local fortune teller to give us our wedding date based on the Eastern calendar. They don't go by our Western astrological calendar. They go by the Chinese calendar or whatever, the Vietnamese calendar, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to offend the Vietnamese by saying that. And they'll give us our ideal wedding date. So that's another cultural thing that we're dealing with, which is fine with me. I don't care. I believe in all that stuff. So it is what it is. Call me silly, whatever you want. I don't care. But that's the way it's done here. So that's the stage we are in now. So we're legally married, but we don't feel married because we haven't done the traditional way. So we're waiting on that. So, stick around. If this is something you're interested in, just hearing me sit here and talk about my life here and how it's different. And how also, if I can maybe offer some tips on moving abroad and living in a new culture and what it takes and the pitfalls and the benefits. I will talk about that too. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have me some water. I'm going to sit here and do my lesson plan for the rest of the day. And if this made you feel something, share it. If you're still finding your voice, welcome. You are not alone. And remember this, wherever you are, whoever you were, this is for the life you choose next. That's it. I'm out of here. And let me try to turn this thing off. I'll get better at this, I promise.